Hello. Welcome to Introduction to Immunics, Part 1. So, the first question really is, what is Immunics? Immunics is a healing skill. The most powerful, the body knows how to heal itself, and this is generated by the mind. So that's something to think about. It needs nothing other than your intention and a bit of hard work. But in order for any healing to work, we need to be in the right energetic space. And this is really very important. If we're not, energy tends to reverse and therefore does not actually provide a healing environment. And if we're actually tricking and getting information like in kinesiology or in immunics, the information is going to be incorrect. So before we start anything, we really need to be in that right and in that correct space. That correct energetic space. And let's begin with here. Hydration. You know, most people are dehydrated. When did you last drink water? Not tea, not coffee, not orange juice, not orange squash. Water. Plain, old-fashioned, good old water. Because tea and coffee dehydrate. They do exactly the opposite to what water does. But plain, simple water. And there is a very simple formula. And that is, you drink 35 milliliters of water per kilo of body weight on a daily basis. So I leave you to do the maths. And water has a pH of 7, potential hydrogen of 7. That means it's base. It's between acid on one side and alkaline on the other. So it's neutral. And as a neutral substance, it washes toxins from the body. That's one of its very, very important functions. Washing toxins for your body. And the next question I have is, do you drink tap water? Well, if you do, stop it. Stop it right now. Because tap water contains impurities. If you're in a large city like London, for example, the tap water is reprocessed sewage. They claim it's 100% pure. But if you know anything about homeopathy, you'll know that that's not necessarily true. Because even a trace amount of a substance can have an effect. So what do people put down the loo? What's in the urine? They throw their sleeping pills and their antidepressants and all of this down. So that is not a good place to start. And perhaps you're fortunate enough that the water does not come from recycled sewage. Well, in that case, it comes through pipes. And how long have those pipes been there? What sort of bacteria, molds and fungus are in the pipes themselves? So stop drinking tap water. Which takes us, of course, to bottled water. Now, bottled water is a problem. The bottles are the problem. The bottles take a very long time to break down. I've seen a figure of 400 years. And all of you have probably seen pictures of these huge masses of plastic bottles in the Pacific Ocean that are clogging up marine life. They're killing fish, killing marine life. That's not the way to go either. The disposal of plastic bottles is a big problem. So, bottles take a long time to decompose. So we need to look for another solution to this. But let's go back to water. Dr. Batmanghelidj was a physician, a London-trained physician. He trained at St Mary's in Paddington. And he was the physician to the late Shah of Iran. But after the revolution, anyone who served the Shah of Iran had a hard time of it. And Dr. Batmanghelidj was locked up in the notorious Evin prison in Tehran under a death sentence. But again, he was a doctor. And those of us who've gone through training like this have signed an oath that is called the Hippocratic Oath, which means that we are there to serve other people. But they wouldn't give him any medicines. So how did he treat the other inmates in the prison? The authorities probably didn't care less, because they were probably all there as a remnant of the Iranian Revolution. But nonetheless, he made a very important discovery, which was actually, it saved his life at the end of the day. So what did he do? He found that the only thing he had to treat people with was water. And he found, and he recorded this, and he sent his findings to the University of Philadelphia, that there were certain illnesses that were actually caused by dehydration. You don't need a pill, you simply need a glass of water. If you have a headache, don't go and take an aspirin, drink some water, because very often headaches are the result of dehydration. But I would like to read a little bit from chapter 5 of his book, The Body's Many Cries for Water. Pathology that is seen to be associated with social stresses, fear, anxiety, insecurity, persistent emotional and marital problems, and the creation of depression are the results of water deficiency to the point the water requirements of the brain tissue are affected. It's a wonderful emotional remedy, much better than Prozac. In therapy, if someone gets upset or abreacts, what do? We give them a glass. We get them to breathe, and we give them a glass of water. So if you're feeling nervous, if you're feeling depressed, don't take a pill. Start with a glass of water. Hydration, really important. So this question of when did you last drink water is also important. But another thing is that there's certain symptoms that go with all of this. These symptoms, the symptoms of dehydration, indigestion, obesity, can all be the result of dehydration. So another really important point of this is something like osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is, the body is super intelligent. Get that, really intelligent. So let's go to blood. There's a tiny window of opportunity as far as blood is concerned. Blood has a pH of between 7.31 and 7.46. So blood is very slightly alkaline. And if blood becomes too acidic, you have a condition called acidosis. And if acidosis is really serious, it can be a killer. So what does the body do? It alkalizes the water. And how does it alkalize the water? Well, it goes to your bones. Your bones are primarily calcium. Calcium is an alkalizing agent. So it leaches calcium from the bones. Result, osteoporosis. Or it can go the other way. You can also, I'm talking about the acidic condition, but you can be too alkaline as well. Alkalosis is also dangerous. But the body requires balance. And most of us, most of us are too acidic. And illness has a really big factor, that is an over-acidic system. We need to alkalize. We do that through eating fruits and vegetables, but water plays a really, really, really important factor in all of this. Another thing, you get off an airplane, your hands and feet are invariably swollen. Well, they're swollen because, A, of the pressurization, but also flying at an altitude of in excess of 30,000 feet is in an air-conditioned environment, is very dehydrating. Drinking alcohol on a plane is never a good idea because it increases the alkalization. So let's start with water. Before you do any treatment, before you do anything, drink some water. And the next thing that I want to talk about is breathing. Deep breathing. Let's go back a bit. Get a filter too. Much better than bottled water. And certain bottled waters have a high pH. Evian, Fiji water, these all have a pH in excess of 7. But it seems to me to be slightly ridiculous to be bringing water from the French-Swiss border all the way here. It doesn't make sense. Or Fiji water. Fiji water is particularly alkaline. It has a pH of 7.8. But again, why do you want to drag a bottle of water all the way from Fiji all the way to London? Doesn't make sense. So you need to alkalize your water. You need to get water that has a pH over 7. And there's a little trick you can do here. You can actually add a slice of lemon or lime, even preferable lime, to the water, and that will help alkalize it as well. But remember that 35 ml of water daily, and drink water frequently. And if you think of water as a medicine, you can go online and you can get an app for your telephone that goes off every hour that reminds you to drink water. So couldn't be easier than that, could it? And the next thing is deep breathing. Vagus stimulation. What brings us out of flight and fight? Flight and fight is a design is a design fault. When we were wandering around in the jungle and we would encounter life-threatening things like saber-toothed tigers. A saber-toothed tiger can kill you, and that could happen on a very regular basis. It's unlikely that you're going to meet a saber-toothed tiger in the supermarket, but then, yes. And so when we meet a saber-toothed tiger, we have to be able to do something about it. So there are two little glands on top of the kidneys, and those two little glands are called the adrenals. And the sympathetic part of the ANS, the autonomic nervous system, is stimulated, is turned on. The switch is adrenaline. So when you meet a saber-toothed tiger, you need to be in a position to either run away from it, fight it, or perhaps you could freeze, but I'm not sure that's a good idea when you come to a saber-toothed tiger. So in order to run away from a tiger, in order to fight the tiger, you need additional resources. You need more strength. You need to see better. You don't want all your blood to be up here in your hands and feet where they're nice, warm and cozy. You need that blood to be down into your muscles so you can run faster, or over here so you can fight harder. That's what happens when we go into the sympathetic part of the ANS. Many people complain that they have cold hands, cold feet. Of course they do, because they are stressed. These are stress symptoms. And therefore the blood is no longer in the hands and feet. It's gone into deep muscle because they're expecting some sort of calamity to befall them. And in this time of SAR2 COVID, that so many people are so scared. So they are in flight or fight. And we need to turn that off, because it has many symptoms associated with it: digestion, blood pressure, and so on. So we need to switch it off. And the way to switch it off, is breathing. Many of you will have heard of Wim Hof. I really recommend you check him out. Wim Hof, the Iceman, and how he can hold his breath underwater for a very long time, how he can control his breathing, and by controlling his breathing, confront and deal with many symptoms. So that is really important. And so what I'd like, before we do anything, is we need to balance ourselves, come out of flight or fight by breathing. And in immunics, the breathing is, you breathe 6 breaths to a minute. You slow down the breathing and you breathe through your nose. This is nitric oxide breathing. You might remember that people who suffered from angina would be treated with nitroglycerin. The objective of this is to increase the size of the airwaves so more oxygen can get to the body. So what I'd like to do now is to do a little bit of that breathing. So what we do through the nose, we breathe in on the count of 5, and we breathe out on the count of 5. And we do that 6 times in a minute. So let's just give it a go. Breathe in, 5, and breathe out on the count of 5. Breathe in on the count of 5. And breathe out on the count of 5. There you go. If you are a member of Virtual Wellness, there's a very, very nice video which takes you through that. So before we do any immunics, before we do any healing, before we do any therapy, we do the breathing and we drink water. So that's it for today. I hope that's been useful. If you've got questions, please, please, please message me. I'd be happy to talk to you. We can also have a phone call if you like through WhatsApp or one of those things. And if you're interested also, we have the virtual Detox program that is now up and running, and I'm very happy to talk about that as well. So that's it from me. It's Sunday. Have a nice Sunday wherever you might be, and I'll be back again to talk about how to get a signal and how to deal with switching or as well in the next couple of days. These videos will be up and they'll be there if you want to watch them. I'm not going to take them down. And so all I wish you is say thanks for listening and talk to you all again soon. And until then, cheerio.